Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Hello and welcome to We Are Starfleet, a currently Star Trek Discovery podcast. I'm your host Craig McKenzie and I'm here to bring you a discussion about Season 5, Episode 5 of Star Trek Discovery, Mirrors. Joining me for this is the captain of the ship I've taken over in his, well, he's not absent, but he's here, but I'm taking over. It's Mike Slamer. Hello.
Hey, Craig. Straight to the agony booth with you.
Straight to the agony booth, yeah. Well, I'm already in an agony booth. I'm suffering from a mild flu at the moment.
I can hear it.
Is that torture enough? I think it is.
We'll have to get you a hypo spray.
Yeah, that'll solve everything. The flu's been eradicated by the 32nd century, or you'd hope.
You'd hope. It probably hasn't been. It's got a different name, like Corellian flu or Rizian.
Insert alien name, flu. Yeah, that's the way it goes.
I'm sure Ryza's got a whole slew of their own things. Never mind. This is not an explicit podcast, or so they say.
So you've skipped an episode. So what are you thinking of Season 5 up to this point?
We are here to talk Episode 5. So up into Episode 5, I've been enjoying the show pretty firmly. Episode 4, you and Ian talked about it. Haven't listened yet, but I was really excited with that episode, and I thought it was far and away one of the best Star Trek episodes that they have done, like the Trekkiest, if you will. And also, in general, I think it was one of the best episodes of Discovery, the series. So, high marks thus far, and we'll talk about Episode 5, Greg, because I feel differently today.
We will, yeah. My feelings on Season 5 are pretty mixed. I think that there's some really good ideas in there, but I don't think they're necessarily executing them very well. I think Episode 3 was good, but it was also overstuffed with too many plots, so there wasn't really any time to explore anything, which suggested that there wasn't enough there to actually explore in the first place. And Episode 4, you'll hear me and Ian talk about it, but I didn't like it very much. I thought it was a string of wasted opportunities, and perhaps I have feelings about Episode 5 that are along similar lines. We'll soon find out. Episode 5, titled Mirrors, is another step on the hunt for the pieces of the jigsaw that make up the coordinates of this technology or key or...
It's a key. I think it's a key.
Whatever. The MacGuffin.
They're going to put every little piece together, and then it's going to be the key. And then they have to figure out what the key goes into. So we're going to spend at least an episode trying to discover what it actually opens.
Yeah, can't wait for 45 minutes of that.
I can wait.
But whatever it is, they're still looking for it, and they go into, I think they call it interdimensional space in search of the next clue.
Yeah, they do. It's interdimensional space inside of a wormhole.
Yeah, let's pile technobabble on top of other technobabble. That's the way it always works. So what did you think of Episode 5, Mirrors, just in general? And we'll dig in after we get our general thoughts out of the way.
In general, the episode title being a little too on the nose, I really liked that we finally got the background between Locke and Moll. I had been wondering, why is he with her? She's on a mission. She has been wronged in a past life, and she wants revenge, and she wants to be on top, whatever on top is in her world. And Locke definitely seems to be very pragmatic by comparison, and throughout this entire story so far, I have been wondering, and the show's been doing a good job of making me wonder, what is their relationship dynamic truly? And in this episode, we finally get to see the origin story of their relationship, if you will, and we finally get that emotional connection that we should have had maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I found myself wanting either one plot being this romance plot that Locke and Moll are setting up, or the exploring the ISS Enterprise. And the fact that we got like a half and half type of a situation just made both halves lesser for the whole of it. And I walk away from this episode feeling like I didn't really get anything out of it. And I think you had said something. Ashley has definitely mentioned this. And I think that you're all right in that Discovery wants to look backwards and say, ooh, look at that thing, and then walk away from it without it really meaning anything in the larger scheme of things. And for Star Trek Discovery to put the ISS Enterprise on the screen, tease us with it in the trailer, all the fuzzy screen grabs that we've been seeing on social media, I think it's really cheap of them to give us all that and then give us this story.
Yeah, I do agree about the ISS Enterprise. I have nothing to say about the ship itself, really, because it is just a ship. It could have been anything.
Exactly. It could have been any ship. It didn't have to be the Enterprise.
Yeah. And there was this thing about it's a refugee ship for people that were trying to escape the mirror universe hundreds of years ago, and they all did, and ended up living lives in our universe somehow.
Good for them, but I have no real connection. Book has this whole thing about how he reads the plaque and he's like, oh, it's a refugee ship, and it was led by a Kelpian rebel leader. Oh, Saru, yay. Saru's not on screen.
No.
I have no relation to any of these refugees. The ISS Enterprise was featured in a single episode 55, 56 years ago. Cool. It's there, Craig. It's there. Look at it.
From a budget point of view, they could just ding up the Strange New World sets and slap some Terran logos on it and call it a day in terms of giving them a location to film in, but they could have done anything substantial with it, and they didn't.
Yeah. They could have done the Defiant.
Yeah, or just a random ship that happened to get stuck in there.
It didn't have to have anything to do with the mirror universe whatsoever.
No.
And I get the idea of mirrors. You have Locke and Moll, Book and Michael. They're supposed to be mirroring each other.
Yeah.
And, oh, we're on the ISS Enterprise. Get it? It's from that episode, Mirror Mirror. Get it?
It's from the mirror universe. Well done. Could it have been Mirror Discovery? It didn't blow up. It got stuck there somehow.
It could have been, yeah.
Or just Moll and Locke's ship.
It could have just been Moll and Locke's ship.
So, yeah, that's all to be said about that. Although you do get Burnham looking wistfully at Spock's station and saying, my brother used to work at the not evil version of that science station.
And again, kind of a missed opportunity. Had they decided to go full in on the Mirror Universe Enterprise and explore it, there would have been a cool opportunity to hit, oh, let's look at Spock's last log before he left. Let's look at that and see, I don't know, maybe Ethan Peck with a goatee. That could have been super interesting. Or give us the restored, remastered footage of Leonard Nimoy's Spock giving the famous Captain Kirk, I shall consider it thing. I don't know.
Yeah, anything. Instead of nothing.
Instead of nothing. I'm sorry, but we're chatting on Zoom, and my Zoom background is the original Enterprise bridge. I'm an Enterprise guy. I love the ship. It's the hero starship in all science fiction, across all the franchises, in all the universes. I love this ship. I should be excited to see any version of it, but I'm not. So that should tell you as a listener that something just fell off the grid here. And I'm sure it's going to get a lot of like, oh my God, look, and all the possibilities, and all this, that, and the other thing. But they just throw it on screen. We don't even get any real good starship porn out of it. We just get a flyby shot of the ship leaving at the end of the episode. And that's really it. I'm sorry. It really brought this episode down for me.
Yeah. Same. I did like the Moll and Locke plot to some extent. I think their motivation's clear. They want to run away and live free, and they don't care what they have to do in order to achieve that. If it means, because we learned last week that we're looking at the universe being destroyed again if this tech falls into the wrong hands, so it's exhausting already.
Well, to be fair, it's not that the universe will disappear from existence necessarily. It's just that it would just be another weapon of mass destruction utilized against enemy forces.
It's another apocalypse scenario we're dealing with.
Yeah, mutually assured destruction.
We've had annual ones of those, so we don't need another one. But I can buy into their motivation because they want to just escape and live without looking over their shoulder. And like I said, they don't care about what damage they cause in order to achieve that. If they have to give someone the keys to technology that can wipe out life as we know it, then so be it. And screw the rest of the universe as far as they're concerned. I like that as a motivation. I understood it. I thought the flashbacks were a bit bizarre because they're all in this one volume location.
Yeah.
where they're just chatting, and the actors do a great job. You see their interactions soften between each flashback, but I don't think they're especially well written. I buy the relationship because the actors are giving it to me rather than the writing giving it to me.
I would agree with that.
But yeah, they're just standing around in a shuttle bay or something, chatting.
And one of the things that we've been kind of harping about is the screeners that we get do not come with subtitles. So to understand a lot of that dialogue through the sound effects of the helmet, that was a wrenching experience. Yeah. I was like, what is he saying? Oh, he wants to make sure that the dilithium is clean? Okay.
It's funny, Ian and I were speculating when we recorded for episode 4 whether they were going to unmask the Breen. And that's exactly what they've done. And I said at that time, well, what would the answer be that would be in any way satisfying? There isn't one. It's just another guy in alien makeup.
Sure.
And that's exactly what it is. But you had this whole thing about we have two faces. We have our hidden face and another face, but they don't explain what that means.
I thought that was super interesting. It's this weird, we have two faces. If we deny half of ourselves, we deny all of ourselves. But then the other guy says to take the form of a solid is to be weak and inflexible and rigid. It's a very similar story to the Founders in DS9. It's a very similar kind of, I don't know if trope is the right word to use here, but same thought process. And it seems to me as though the Breen have a little bit of a cultural infighting thing going on, which I thought was interesting. Moll says something about factions fighting across the Breen space. So there's something to be said for that. And discovering, as the show is named, discovering that Locke is Breen royalty who got kicked down a couple of pegs. I thought that was a pretty good reveal too.
Yeah. It was fine. I just found myself confused by the whole Two-Face thing because they brought it up and then they expected us to be following it, but they weren't really giving us enough.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of inferring to figure all that out, which is not my favorite thing to do in a TV show. I like a little mystery, and I don't necessarily want to be spoon-fed everything, but you got to put the ingredients all out on the table so we know what we're making.
Yeah. Plus, they've silenced decades worth of fan speculation now about what the Breen look like and why they wear those suits.
Yeah.
And the answer is actually really dull, as you would expect.
They're a bunch of jelly.
Yeah. Why do the Klingons not have forehead ridges? The answer is more rubbish than anything else anything would come up with.
Yeah.
So that's another example of that. I don't know if they're going to do more with it as time goes on, but for now it was just, okay, there's the Two Faces thing. What does that really mean?
They're setting something up. I feel like there's a setup because Moll mentions the Breen factions currently at war, and that's why she wanted to go take the contract from Osira. And earlier in the season, there is mention of the Breen Empire because Saru, in his new role as an ambassador, is trying to bring over these smaller outlying worlds, and there was a mention of, oh, we can't let them go to the Breen Empire. So I think they're setting something up. It's really honestly hard to say because it hasn't really been concrete enough, in my opinion, that the Breen are truly a player at this point in time. But if the Breen are chasing Locke and Moll, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're chasing them for largely personal reasons, though.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
At this point in time, yes.
As in, Locke run away and his family want him back.
What do they call it? It's like a blood bounty?
Yeah, I can't remember what the actual name is, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a thing that they place on your head and it's not going away unless you do something really drastic to get rid of it. It's the same as these Klingon blood oaths or whatever else. We won't rest until we bring this person in sort of approach. I wanted a bit more from that though. But yeah, I do think they're setting up the Breen as the big bad of the season, I guess, in the same way they were setting up the Emerald Chain, as in barely doing it in the background and then suddenly they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be like one ship.
Yeah, going to be that ship that we saw in that flashback. But I'm on board with Moll and Locke as characters, at least. I think the actors have great chemistry, and I liked the scenes where they were talking about how devoted they were to each other. I don't think the mirror of Michael and Book is quite as pronounced as it could be, because Book talks about he understands what it's like to be partnered with someone that you're in love with, but they weren't a couple until after Discovery arrived, so it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the feelings were probably there, but they didn't act on them.
Pardon the pun, but it's been a little bit of a slow burn for them.
Yeah. But it's the understanding of, I get this ride or die attitude thing, and Locke saying, if we do turn ourselves in to the Federation, will we be able to share cells? And Burnham's like, yeah, sure, I'll advocate for that. I'll see what I can do.
She's like, I'll tell you anything you want to hear right now.
No, I want your signed assurance that that will happen.
Yeah, I think separating Book and Burnham and Locke and Moll in the sick bay with that force field, I thought was a pretty clever plot device to get Book and Moll separate so they could have a private conversation. The big reveal about Cleveland Booker, the man who gave this name to Book and fathered Moll, we still don't know enough about him, other than that he was some great courier, renowned legend of a person, according to Book. But then you talk to Moll, and she's like, no, he's a deadbeat dad, he pieced out, he let mom die, and that's why I hate him. You took his name, therefore I hate you. I do think that's a little childish from Moll's perspective. Here's a guy who knew your father after he left you, and you're not interested in engaging in any reasonable dialogue to understand anything else? Are you that close-minded? And one thing that I struggle with these TV shows in general is when they write a compelling character and then give that character a dummy brain moment. And this was a dummy brain moment for Moll. She didn't have to be so mean and hateful. She's very clever. She's very conniving. She could have pried Book for more information without giving any of her own. But instead, we learn everything that we learn, and she escapes with Locke anyway. So not a whole lot of family reunion type energy coming from the two of them. And I kind of feel like them getting away on the torpedo casing or whatever it was that flew out of the ISS Enterprise, it kind of sets up another let's go chase after them instead of really unpacking what all of this actually means. So them being removed from the plot yet again means that we go right back to basically stage one of our story, which is we still need to chase. And we're in episode 5. And I don't know how much more chasing I really want to be doing at this point. I want to start answering the questions that these stories have been proposing to us.
It made sense to an extent because from Moll's perspective, it's an irrational abandonment feeling. So she's been harboring this hatred, this pain for so long, and she can't get away from it. She can't really see why Book can have such a positive relationship with her father, but she couldn't, because clearly he was mentoring Book after he left.
Yeah.
So what caused him to never come back? And that's not answered. It's almost like we needed flashbacks to Cleveland Booker IV to find some of this out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get that in coming episodes, but there isn't a lot of time left to explore any of this.
No, I definitely feel like the pacing of this season has been very quick and at the same time so incredibly slow.
Definitely, yeah. And like you say, they're on the run again. They don't have their ship anymore. They have some, whatever it is, centuries-old warp-capable thing that a 32nd century ship couldn't snag before it warped off.
Yes. Another thing that frustrates me about it is they just let them go, and it's this centuries-old technology from an old Constitution class, a Terran Constitution class, so not even built to Federation standard, mind you, and it just disappears. Okay, we got the warp signature. We can trail it. Okay, well, hello, go?
They're pretty safe for the moment. You can give chase and come back.
Certain things there being done for the sake of the plot and stretching it out. Episode 5 of Star Trek Discovery for every single season has been a little polarizing for me because it's usually episode 5 that I'm like, I'm all in, this is going great, or it's the other way around where I'm like, I don't really care for this. We need to do something. Let's pick up the pace here or change it and the dynamic shifts. Now, that being said, it's episode to episode. Episode 6, I haven't seen it yet, but there could be some really exciting, really cool thing. And episode 6 is where I'm like, hell yeah, I'm all back in. But episode 5, going back to that season split, if you will, that's where things start to fall off the rails. Last season, they had episode 5. Everything was great. Everything was going really well. We're discovering who the 10C is. We're on the chase. And then things just fell off the rails from there. I remember coming back in to episode, I believe it was 6 or 7, when they go to that gangster planet and they have that big poker game, and just being like, what the? I enjoyed the episode, but what are we doing? I thought we were going to go meet the 10C, and now we're having a poker game? So there's misdirections and misleads that the show constantly does that at this point, we know we're in the final season. I want rewarding experiences, and I'm not getting them yet.
I have no memory of what episode 5 of any season is off the top of my head, so you're doing better than I am.
I think last season it was, oh my gosh, season 3, episode 5 was when Discovery first met 32nd Century Starfleet. And that was a great episode, I thought. And then we're chasing down the Emerald Chain, solving the burn. Things shook out, I thought, pretty okay for that. But that was a really fun episode. And that's one of those things where it was like, yes, good. And then we continue on and everything's going well. The first couple episodes, they have in the bag. They know the story they're telling. They can't wait to tell it. And then they're like, what do I do with the rest of this story? And that's where we're at now. It feels like they haven't figured out where the story is going yet. And I'm waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. And this episode's arguably, well, it's definitely a necessary one because it gives you the context of Moll and Locke's relationship.
Definitely.
How they factor into the plot. And that was the part I liked the most. And
same.
I was okay with their motivations. I was okay with the back and forth between Book and Moll. There's the hint that she can be reached because she lowers her weapon and agrees to a temporary truce. Granted, they might die if they don't work together, but she agrees to do it. So there's definitely some appetite to connect. And again, the acting is so good that you can see it on Eve Harlow's face.
Yeah.
When she is performing a scene. You can see that conflict within her. You can see her mulling it over, if you will, before she arrives at a decision. Because it's almost like she's forcing herself to hold on to that bitterness. And then the ride or die with Locke. And I do feel like he's maybe a grounding presence for her. He's the rational one.
I get that.
He's the one that says, calm down, let's think about this. Let's approach this in a different way. So without him there, she's just unleashed.
I definitely agree with you. It seems that she is the one who's driving towards, let's do one last job and then we can settle into our colony world.
Yeah, the promised land.
Poor guy. You know he's going to die.
Well, he bleeds in this, and I thought Breen didn't have any blood. They mentioned that in Deep Space Nine.
That was interesting.
They couldn't test the Breen to see if he was a changeling in that prison episode because they don't have any blood.
All the pieces start coming together.
Maybe that's just what they tell you. I don't know.
What did you think of Commander Rayner in this episode?
I like Rayner, and I don't like that they're sanding off his edges. I just don't like that he's becoming one of the gang so quickly. The edges are still there. I like when he wanders in and asks Stamets for an update, and Stamets is spouting off all the technobabble, and he says, shut up. I just want to know whether you can do it or not. That's all I need to know. And then I'm going. I like that. I don't need their life story. I just want a yes or no answer. The bit at the end when he was on the bridge as well, when he was trying to encourage the crew and he lets them brainstorm so they can solve the problem. He's like, drinks on me if anybody can solve this problem. Stuff like that.
Citrus mash.
Yeah, whatever that is. I don't know what the deal is with all the sayings in this season, though. They seem to refer to old sayings a lot.
Yeah, good call out. It was some battle poem that he picked up on. The 3414 was the frequency, and Rayner kind of put it together in his head. And of course, unbeknownst to the audience, he was the only one who knew it. He's the only one who knew the frequency.
And Book had the old Quajon saying as well.
Yeah.
And they've referred to old sayings in previous episodes as well. I don't know what their fixation is with turns of phrase this season.
Yeah, you're right. I've noticed it in just about every single episode so far. I wonder if it's just one of those, maybe an in-joke in the writer's room where they're like, add a phrase. Oh, add an inside joke. Let's add this. Let's add that. Oh, what does it mean? It doesn't matter.
I did want there to be an actual subplot with Rayner first day in command of Discovery, even though it's not really because he was technically in command when Burnham was on Trill, but he wasn't actively in command. They were just sitting there. So I wanted to see him actually in command. But there's only the one scene where he tells Stamets to shut up and give him the answer, and then later on when they're waiting to open the rift. And that's it. There's nothing in between.
Well, Rayner gets some good characterization building on what we saw in episode 4. And he's definitely a man of action. It's do or die for him. There is no let's mull over every single choice we could possibly make. And Adira makes a comment about trying to raise the odds a little bit. And I really appreciated his face in that scene, scrunching all the way up. Don't say it. Don't say what you want to say. I like the guy, and I think it's going really well. And I think they have to sand his edges at this point. Because if every episode had a let me drag you into my ready room to dress you down for being a whatever, or being so stuck up and difficult to work with, then that would get boring pretty quick. So flipping the switch and having Rayner ask Captain Burnham a moment and then says, hey, listen, I should go on this mission. You're the captain. You belong on the bridge. I thought that was a good flip of the previous episode where we opened with Burnham saying, Rayner, in my ready room. So that was a good thing. And him getting his edges sanded off is ultimately a good thing for the viewer's sanity of watching the show for the next couple of episodes, so we're not bombarded with a constant fight of the wills here.
They could do more with his different style, though. The reason I like him is because he's a bit of an abrasive presence. He's not what they're used to. So they could do more with that, not necessarily with them being in conflict with him, but just having to get used to him. It seems like they're already used to him, and he just lets them get on with it, really. I was expecting more when they introduced him. I wanted more of that. I'm not sure about this guy because it's an unfamiliar way of doing things, but equally valid. You get some of it where Burnham says familiarity breeds complacency, but they don't really follow it up here. He's just standing there and letting them do what they normally do.
Yeah, that's fair. But then again, isn't that what a good commander should be doing?
Yeah.
I hear you, but I think also that this episode didn't really give him enough to really do in the time that we had for him to do it in. Realistically, not in a negative way, but it's kind of a placeholder position. And on that note, why do we have all these new characters on the bridge?
They might have been there since season 1, we just don't know.
Lieutenant Gallo? Who's the other girl who's sitting over there?
No idea.
Going around the bridge like, oh, let's all say each other's names for roll call. I've never seen you. Where's Commander Owo and Detmer?
Well, they get put on the Enterprise at the end, and Reese doesn't, even though he loves those ships. That's the one thing we know about the guy. He loves Constitution-class ships.
And how is he not going to get the assignment to take the Enterprise back? You're so right. What a call out. Oh, man. Poor Reese. He's probably sitting in his quarters, kicking over every single replicated device he possibly can.
Breaking his models in two that he's built in bottles.
His little ships.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Poor guy. Oh, man.
It's almost like for Rayner in command, you need a split the party episode, as in where Burnham goes to do something and then he has to take Discovery and do something else. And then they'll meet up at the end.
Yeah, I thought we might get something like that in this episode when they were setting it up. Then when it came around to one of the scene breaks and Discovery was still there, I was like, okay, they're not going anywhere. They're meant to sit there and wait, which means nothing really interesting is going to happen there.
Again, maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get the Rayner takes the ship on an actual mission.
I would like to see Rayner be more of a on the bridge.
Because otherwise, why is he there? You could just put anybody in command.
Yeah.
Your job is to sit and wait. Everyone knows their jobs. Just anyone. Well, she's left Reese in command a couple of times, so presumably he's good at it. I don't know. Don't know anything about the guy. He likes Constitution-class ships. That's all I know about him.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
That's all we know.
In 5 years, that's the one thing I know about.
That's because you couldn't read it in his file, Craig.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Obviously.
I couldn't even read his file. Never mind read it in his file. That's a systemic problem with this show, though. The background characters are just not developed.
Yes, totally agree. At this point, it's season 5. There should be no reason why they have continued to introduce new characters to the show when they already have a stable of characters they could tell stories around. And for viewers of Star Trek, and I think this is where like a lot of the criticisms come into play, is that when you put all these characters on screen and you give them names and you give them faces and you give them thoughts and emotions that you're going to put the camera on them for, but you're not going to tell us anything about them, that can get a little frustrating for a viewer. And to bring in brand new characters every single season, whether they be an antagonistic character, whether they be someone like Commander Nan from season 2. There was no need for her to come into season 3 and then take off and leave the ship and follow her own plot thread. That could have been any other character on Discovery. We don't have anything from OO about what it has meant for her to rise through the ranks and to live in the 32nd century. We don't have anything from Detmer about that either. And these are two characters that we here on this show have asked for more of. We like those characters. We would like to know more about them. Why put them on screen just to swivel in the chair and say, yes, Captain? It's a waste of their time, and I think it's a waste of the viewer's time, and I think it speaks to the inability of the writer's room sometimes to really think outside of their own boxes.
Yeah. They're only concerned with creating stories for half a dozen characters. Then everyone else is just sort of window dressing.
Yeah.
That's why the bridge crew are so interchangeable.
Yeah. I mean, Linus gets more lines than OO and Detmer have.
Yeah, still don't really know much about him.
Exactly. Oh, hold on. He plays jazz piano.
And he's laid a bunch of eggs in his life.
But we have these characters. I would like to see them utilized.
Yeah, but we don't have 26 episodes a season to do that.
No, but we do have 55-minute episodes, and about, I would say, maybe 10 of those minutes are used for just a lot of reaction shots. I think we could do more.
I don't disagree.
But it's not going to happen, and we just have to accept that.
Discovery is Discovery, and it's not going to change its tune in the final half of the final season. That's not going to happen.
No. Definitely, I will be thinking about all of the missed opportunities. I'll be thinking about people who read the novels, read the comics. If you want to get more of X character, then hopefully there's going to be an IDW comic coming out about that character. Hopefully there's a novel coming out that will explain the gap between X thing and Y thing. Who knows? And there might be a novel coming about the ISS Enterprise with a bunch of refugees getting stuck in an interdimensional rift. And sure, that's all well and good, but I think that if we're going to talk about these things on screen, then we need more than a line of dialogue to reference it.
Yeah, definitely. They just did the ISS Enterprise thing to jangling keys. The viewer will recognize this, and therefore that's enough. Which it just isn't, and I'm becoming more and more frustrated by empty fan service every time they do it. It's a big part of why I hated Picard Season 3 so much, because it was doing it all the time. And you look at a lot of franchise media in the modern day where they keep doing that as well. They just keep referencing things that have no relevance to the story they're telling and show a lack of imagination in terms of telling their own stories. Even this season's story is following on from a TNG episode rather than coming up with their own mystery. And then, like I said about the Breen, it's nullified a bunch of fan speculation that people were having fun discussing on forums and message boards and whatever for decades. I remember all sorts of fan theories about the progenitors because the being in the message was played by Salome Jens. Everyone was like, well, not everyone, but a lot of people were like, I wonder if that was the changelings when they were solid, for example. Could have been.
I agree with your point about franchise media and always, we mentioned it here on the show, looking back and being so referential to itself. You look at the other big space franchise, Star Wars, and all the dialogue in the fandom is about, is it good? Is it not good? What about this character? What about that character? I think that when these types of franchises continue to look at themselves and try to recapture that one thing, that feeling, that nostalgic moment. And part of why I did not like Picard Season 3 is because they kept trying to capture that feeling of the next generation. That's gone. That's in the 90s. We are in 2024. You can put it on screen all you want. You can have an 8-minute scene of a bunch of retirees walking onto the bridge of the Enterprise and going, wow, and pan the camera around. That did nothing for me except remind me that I've gotten older. I know a lot of people loved it. That's great. I don't want to take it away from them, but we have to, as a fandom, think about where we are going. Not what we did, but where we are going. Star Trek has been trying to push the meter forward, and I think they do a lot of things successfully, but this insistence of looking back on itself, to your point, jangling the keys and saying, look, you recognize this as a viewer, therefore you're going to love everything that we're doing here. But it doesn't work like that. And I think that audiences are smarter than TV executives certainly let on. And I think that audiences demand that their intellect be engaged. And you can throw all the techno-babble, the Trek-no-babble at me all day long, and I'll enjoy it. But that's not going to mean anything without a compelling story. It's also not going to mean anything when you have characters rattle off 18,000 Treknobabble terms in a single sentence, only to have the other actor in the scene go, no, just give me one sentence. These things have to be consistent with themselves. And when they are not, it's when things fall apart. And that's been happening more and more in franchise media because of the whole tug and pull between fandoms wanting just a return to what they watched before. Everybody watched these shows when we were kids. I watched Star Trek when I was a kid because my dad watched Star Trek when he was a kid. So he got me into it, and I know what it feels like to watch it as a kid, but I'm not a kid anymore. So my adult brain still needs to be intellectually engaged. I can go back and watch TOS and feel the exact same way. I can watch TNG and feel the exact same way. But I watch something new, I want new ideas, new entertainment, new possibilities. And that's what Star Trek represents, is the new possibility of our world moving forward. So I don't want it to be always self-referential.
And they're very much mired in prequel territory at the moment, even though Discovery is set in the far future. But it's as much mired in the past as any other show. Strange New Worlds is very much, I think it's going to evolve into an original series reboot. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. I'll either be right or wrong. And everything else is being told in and around time periods that we've already seen, rather than just giving us something that isn't connected in any way. The writer's room mandate in the writer's Bible for Next Generation, for example, is don't reference the original series ever. Come up with your own stuff. And I feel like there should be a similar thing on the whiteboard for all these shows.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to reference these old things.
Except Lower Decks. Lower Decks can reference anything they want.
And underneath that should be, especially Wrath of Khan. At least they're not doing that, to be fair. Although we have had a bit of a Genesis device type debate, whose are the right hands, etc.
Yeah.
We have some of that, so maybe that counts as well.
What do you think is going on with Dr. Culber?
He seems to be having a spiritual crisis, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
That was one of the most interesting things about episode 3, where he talks about his abuela, which is a grandmother in his culture, and her talking about how certain questions should never be answered. The irony is apparently lost on the writers who answering questions that we as fans feel should never be answered. What do the Breen look like under their helmets? Don't want to know. What's the deal with that technology from the chase? Don't want to know. I'm happy just thinking about it. But anyway, he's thinking about whether questions should be answered or not. And I also think that he's reflecting on everything that's happened to him, coming back from the dead, being possessed by the spirit of a dead Trill, effectively, all that stuff. So there's a lot going on inside his head, and he doesn't feel like he can speak to Stamets about it, because Stamets is all about answers, but this is more of a faith-based problem he's having.
Yeah. Kelly talks about intellect and spirituality being very closely related. It's the search for an answer. I really like that line, and it really helps establish for a lot of people who are very rationally thinking, very logically thinking, who may identify as being an atheist or agnostic or what have you. And it speaks to our current situation in the world today. There are fewer people identifying as religious today than there ever has been. And a lot of churches and religions, and of course, are like, well, how do we change that? We got to change it, because honestly, those are all businesses. But at the end of the day, an individual's spirituality is unique to them and them alone. I don't necessarily believe in God, but I believe in the universe. I'm spiritual. I believe that we are connected, we are human, and we have these commonalities based on our DNA, based on the world that we live in. And there are undefinable, truly miraculous things in the world. I don't know if it's God. I don't know if it's Jesus, but it could be. And that would be cool too. I don't really have an argument for or against. And to see that brought up in Star Trek, to talk about faith. Star Trek has always talked about faith. It's always been very uniquely tied to our science fiction. Why wouldn't it be? And I love that we are chasing it, because I think Discovery is a great vehicle to look at science, religion, intellect, spirituality. I think it's a great dynamic, and I'm surprised we haven't chased the storyline a little sooner.
Yeah, I've met a bunch of people in my life that completely deny religion and say that the world would be a better place if it didn't exist. There's arguments to be made about certain types of organized religion and people being made to feel guilty and things like that, but I don't think people having faith is such a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think to myself that there has to be more to our existence than this biological process that keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Surely there has to be a soul that goes somewhere or changes into something, because we can't contemplate non-existence. And if you believe that it's an entirely scientific thing, then death means that you stop existing. But how can you stop existing? Because you would stop perceiving yourself.
Yeah.
So what would happen there? And that's why people are so terrified of it. Star Trek has delved into spirituality a bit. Sisko eventually became a spiritual man.
Of course.
Through his experience with things that he couldn't rationally explain. It's all well and good to say the prophets are wormhole aliens, but that doesn't cover it completely. They're non-linear wormhole aliens. But still, that doesn't entirely answer all those questions. And there's different mysticisms that turn up here and there, and people believe things. The Bajoran religion is a very personal thing to them. So I'm glad that they're digging into it in some way. They're not saying that Culber's a religious man, because that would incite so much noise on the internet, I think, if suddenly someone in Star Trek was religious. But he's looking back on his preconceived assumptions and reconsidering them. He's thinking back and thinking, well, did I have it as figured out as I thought I did? Or is there some merit to what my grandmother was saying all those years ago? Where was he when he was dead, for example? Is he the original Culber? We don't know. Is he a copy?
These are all questions that he is grappling with, and him finding Tilly is a fun pairing. I'm glad to see that Tilly is back on the show, by the way. I don't know that we've mentioned it in an episode previously, but Mary Wiseman is a welcome presence. Her energy is infectious, and I like that she has this very unique role on the Discovery. She seems to be filling in anywhere she possibly can.
Yeah. She was always a bit of a jack of all trades, wasn't she? She always just jumped into whatever project was getting on. It's the standard science fiction scientist. They do all science.
I know she was on the command track for a little bit too. She was working at that. And then, of course, she has her commission at Starfleet Academy. She's currently taking a little bit of a break from. If she wants to go back, I'm sure she will, though.
It's the final season. People can permanently leave at some point. We've got a distinct lack of Saru since he left. He was in the one episode.
Yeah.
He had a voice cameo in 4, which was, I think, just stock audio.
I think so, yeah.
And he's not in this one, even though they could have done the flashback to the Mirror Saru on the Enterprise if they wanted to do something with that.
Well, Doug Jones was in Toronto for the entirety of the production filming, so I wonder if that's scenes getting left on the floor in the editing room, or if it's done on purpose.
Yeah, or if he's only commissioned for, say, 5 episodes or something.
Could be.
Which does happen.
Yeah.
But he's been conspicuously absent, which is a shame, because it seemed like they were going to have him following another thread for a while until he reconvenes back with the others. It's another disappointing aspect of the show, I guess. Pushing him off to the side. Anything else on this episode? The only other note I really have is about a lesson being attached to every clue, and the lesson being a pretty obvious one. Also, I mentioned in the previous episode, but it's very clear that you don't have to be worthy to solve this puzzle. You just have to be smart, and not that smart, because the clues are very simple. Because they're, let's face it, written by science fiction writers that actually aren't that smart. So they're just really simple solutions.
Whew.
So basically what they should do is they should go back to Trill and say, hey Janelle, your clues are rubbish. Anyone can solve them. You might as well tell us where the tech is so that we can get there before the other guys.
Yeah, I definitely agree that chasing down these clues is a little bit too easy, and I definitely agree that Janelle could have saved a lot of people a lot of time just being like, hey, listen, all right, guys, you're Starfleet. Maybe I was wrong about this. New information is now available to me, and not 800-year-old information about the universe and respecting life and all that. Obviously, this is a time of action. I don't have any further notes. I'm disappointed in this episode. I don't even want to give it a number rating because I don't want anyone coming for my head. But the fact remains that this episode took a lot of wind out of my sails personally for failing to really move the plot forward in a substantial, timely, and efficient manner. It dangled the Enterprise in front of fans and gave us nothing for it. They gave us a very interesting origin love story, if you will, of how our antagonists have met, Locke and Moll. And I thought that was really good, but taking place all in one location in like a shuttle bay of a Breen ship, okay, but you could have done something a little bit better with that. I hate being negative about it. I don't want to be negative about the episode, but there were fewer good things in this episode than there were just things. And I felt like I watched 55 minutes of this TV show and I didn't get anything out of it. And that's a bummer.
I was saying to someone recently, it's a shame when you're on the side of the people that are just making snide comments about the show, as in they don't like it and you don't like it. But obviously we have more thoughtful discussions about why we don't like aspects of it, whereas those people just take pot shots as they're on the internet without any justification as to what's wrong with the show in their eyes and things like that. But it's a shame to be on that page because you end up getting tarred with that same brush.
Yeah, totally. And I don't particularly care for that because Discovery has proven that it can do heady sci-fi concepts really well. They just don't deliver episode over episode.
I do wonder if the wind is out of their sails for this final season, if there's no passion behind what they're doing anymore.
Well, they found out that the season was being canceled only a few months ago after principal photography had been completed. So yeah, if they had known going into it, then it makes sense. But to this point, I can't really give you guys any excuses. I don't understand why y'all wanted to spend your money on that one.
It may just be that they were running out of steam, whether they were getting renewed or not. That does happen.
Yeah.
Look at, say, Enterprise, for example, in its early years. There was definitely no steam for those seasons.
Yeah, that's true. And it also could be that they had access to some of the set and some of the props, and it was one of those things where it was like, okay, guys, we need to work in some mirror universe stuff into this episode, so do what you can.
Yeah, and that's what they did.
Kind of like the one episode of TOS where they wrote Bread and Circuses specifically because there was all that leftover Roman gladiator stuff from the set next door, and they were like, we have it, let's use it before we have to send it back to wardrobe.
Doctor Who does that as well. There's a feudal town or whatever that was being used to film some things. We'll go there. Or the episode where they went to the set of that show, Rome, to depict Rome, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
If it's there and it's not being used, why not just get in there and use it?
Yeah, it will never happen because TV is not made that way these days. But it would be cool if it was like, okay, writers, this is what we have. These are the characters that we have. Put them all in one room and make a story out of it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, that was episode 5. So underwhelmed from both parties.
Underwhelmed. Craig, are you feeling somewhat positive towards the end of the season coming, or are you feeling like, I don't know, what I've seen so far is making me think it's not going to be great, or are you feeling definitely negative towards the ending?
I think I'm leaning towards feeling a bit negative towards it because I haven't enjoyed quite a lot of this season. I've had a lot of problems with almost everything so far. So I don't see them being able to pull it out of the bag in the remaining 5 episodes. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to hate these things, but
yeah,
I just don't see them rising to the challenge of the remaining 5 episodes.
That's fair.
We're probably not going to get them coming across the technology until episode 9 or 10.
Yeah.
It'll be like the 10C all over again. It'll be, right, now we're here finally, and we have no time to play with this.
Exactly. Most everything I've seen so far, there's always been something largely positive or fun or exciting or cool. Like even in episode 1, I know you didn't care for the scene at all, but when the starships did a full plank into the dirt, I thought that was really cool. That was exciting. It was fun. Even if it's not like, okay, it's good. It doesn't necessarily always have to be good, air quotes apply. But if you can get some enjoyment out of it, then it was worth watching for you. So I hope that the next couple episodes at least give you something to enjoy from them rather than being like, oh, okay. Because I do the same thing. As soon as I start watching, if there's something where I feel like I'm going down this spiral of being way too critical and being way too like, oh my God, what are they doing here? And then I forget that I'm just watching a TV show.
That's a problem when you're podcasting and writing about these things is you can't take off your analyst hat.
When do I want to put my hat on? When do I want to take it off?
I'm always wearing it. It's a problem. Can't help myself. I can't let things wash over me. That's just not the way I am.
That's a whole separate podcast series to discuss.
It really is. Okay, so why don't you tell everyone where they can find you elsewhere on the internet?
Sure. So you can find the podcast at Starfleet Pod on the social medias, everywhere you might listen to a podcast, at Starfleet Pod. With the exception of TikTok, Craig, we have not created a TikTok social media account.
I think the ship has sailed on TikTok. I don't think I could TikTok.
I don't even understand it. But we are on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Shitter, which is X and Twitter combined. So that's that. Find the show there, updates. If you want to dialogue with us, folks, always feel free to give us a follow. Always a 5-star review. Even if you're like, hey, you know what? Not really 5 stars. Just give us the 5 stars. Please.
I'm recording with the flu. I think that deserves an extra star at the very least.
It just helps us with metrics and gets the podcast in front of more people, which is always helpful. Other than that, Craig, where can we find you on the internet?
Mainly, I live over on Kneel Before Blog, so that's kneelbeforeblog.co.uk. Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, type it in, you'll find it. I'm reviewing Discovery. I'm not reviewing an awful lot else at the moment. That's the only thing I'm doing. But there's an attached podcast where we do various things, a monthly news podcast. We're coming up on anniversary days that we do every year. So we did Star Trek First Contact Day, which we did the motion picture this year. And for Star Wars Day, we're doing the Clone Wars movie. And Alien Day, 26th of April, 4/26, we ran out of Alien movies because we talked about them all. So we did Predator instead because it's set in the Alien universe, the share universe. So we did that. And personally, I'm under Nemesis 4909, which didn't start life as a Star Trek reference. It was originally a Resident Evil reference. That'll be the fact about me you can't find in my file. That's how you know I'll be genuine. And that's me.
Very good.
You can check We Are Starfleet out on all the socials that Mike mentioned. And until next time, let's fly.
Welcome to the third age of podcasting.
The year is 2024.
The name of the podcast is A Dream Given Form.
Join A Dream Given Form in 2024 as we continue our Babylon 5 journey, picking up our exploration of Season 2 and beyond. Check out fortnightly episodes looking back at Season 2 from spring 2024. And be sure to check out our previous Season 1 episodes and wider thematic discussions.
I don't understand what the huge problem is that people have with infection, to be honest. I know it's not great, but it's got a monster in it, and it's quite exciting, and it has David McCallum.
It does.
But, you know, I did have to come up with an answer to the question, and with a heavy heart, I would say that the episode I would skip is Grail. Probably because...
You can't cut out David Warner. You can't do that.
Well, no, that...
You can't cut him out.
And he just
well,
did.
no. Guys.
Including interviews with Pat Torman.
When the animation came around, where I personally speaking for myself, I thought, oh, it's perfect. Because we could do so much that we couldn't do with the budget, and the limitations of live action. But with this, and it doesn't matter how old we are.
Marshall Teague.
He said, you make the sword, I'll create the role. And I walked in with the sword. He looked at it and he said, oh yeah.
And Peter Jurusik.
I had great trust at one point I realized, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows who Jakar is. And, you become kind of the expert. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to interpret the people and interpret the literature.